Screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what I'll do is in the model 5 I have left with the discussion on the two derivations. Okay, I'll do both of those two derivations and I will shift to the ASA subjects. Okay, advanced structural analysis subjects. Okay, there whatever I have covered now, model 3 and 4, that I will discuss in this class. Okay. So with respect to this Stodola's method I have discussed, and with respect to this Rayleigh's method and the Dunkerley's method, you prepare for theory questions. Okay, and I have solved one sample problems. You go through it; they are easily understandable only. This is regarding Dunkerley's method. Some explanation is there, one formula is there. You need to remember that formula. Okay. If you Even if you do not prepare for the problems, you need to prepare for theory questions. Okay, the short notes they will ask you to write. Okay. So these two derivations, there is a chance of getting any one of these two derivations. All of you be prepared with both of these two derivations. So first derivation is longitudinal vibration of a bar or rod. Okay, subjected to axial force. Okay, which means it is a dynamics of continuous system we will be studying here. See, if you take the structural frames and all, it will have some joints. Okay, at the joints of the frame, what we'll do, we'll take the deflections or the deformations. Okay, if you have a frame structure. Okay, here we will take the deflection and the deformations. But if you take a beam, which is a continuous system, which means in the beam there will be a continuous distribution of the mass throughout the length. In this case, how to derive the equation for equation of motion. Okay, so that thing will be studying in this derivation. Okay, so especially in case of research works, what they will do, they will perform this kind of analysis. They will take a single beam with and they will assume continuous distribution into the mass of the beam, and they will analyze the beam for the vibration or the earthquake forces. Okay, now we will derive the equation for this free longitudinal forced vibration of a bar. Okay, which is assumed to be having continuous distribution of the mass. Okay, and forced vibration means the bar is subjected to an axial force at the end. Okay, so for that I have taken a bar of uniform cross section throughout the length, having some length. Okay, which is subjected to an external force F. Okay, external force F. In that, consider an elemental area of width dx at a distance x from the point O, means from the support. Okay, consider an elemental area of thickness or of width dx at a distance x from point O. Okay, when this system is applied with this force, external force F, okay, it is a time dependent force. Okay, it's a vibration F of t, it is. Okay, it is a time dependent force. Okay, continuously it keeps on Okay. So it is subjected to the external force F, okay, and it is time dependent force. It keeps on acting onto the system like this, okay. Now consider the effect of force, okay, considering effect of force on the bar, okay. When this force is applied onto the bar, this is the deformed shape of the bar when this force is applied, okay. In the deformed shape, so in this deformed shape, let S be the, okay, let S be the change in length of X, okay, change in length of X, okay, and del S by del X into dx be the change in the length or increase in the length of this elemental strip whatever we have considered, okay, understanding. S is the increase in the length or change in the length, original length x, and del s by del x into dx is the change in the length of elemental strip, okay, dx, okay. So the same introduction is written, change in the length of the elemental strip due to the applied force F. Up to here written all the introduction, okay. Now in the first step we have to take the equation of the strain, which is given by change in length divided by original length, okay. With respect to this elemental strip, you apply the strain formula, okay. With respect to the elemental strip, you apply the strain formula. With respect to the elemental strip, what is the original length? Dx is the original length, okay. Dx is the original length, change in length is del s by del x into dx, okay. Therefore here change in length is del s by del x into dx and original length is dx, okay. By this you will get the equation for strain epsilon, that is equal to del s by del x. After getting the equation for strain, then using Hooke's law, that is Young's modulus E equal to stress by strain, okay. Substitute this stress is equal to force by area. Again this stress is equal to what? Force by area, that is F by A. The stress is equal to F by A is substituted, and this formula becomes F by A into E, okay. F by A into E. This epsilon becomes equal to sigma by E, okay. Sigma, if you substitute, that stress, if you substitute load by area or force by area, so formula for epsilon becomes F by A into E, okay. F by A into E. By using this equation, okay, and this equation, epsilon is equal to del s by del x here, epsilon is equal to F by A here. So from these two equations, okay, from these two equations we can write del s by del x is equal to F by AE. That is written here, okay. Del s by del x is equal to F by AE. Differentiating with respect to x, what you will get? You will get del square s by del x square is equal to it is the differentiation of force with respect to x becomes del f by del x, okay. Taking AE term to the LHS, the formula, the final expression, what we get is AE into del square s by del x square is equal to del f by del x. This is the first step, okay. Initially what we have to do, we have to take the strain condition corresponding to this elemental strip, that is change in length to the original length, okay. By substituting the relevant things with respect to the elemental strip, you will get del s by del x. Then we have to obtain expression for the same strain by using Hooke's law, okay. That is E is equal to stress by strain, modulus of elasticity is equal to stress by strain. and strain epsilon if you take to the RHS, LHS, and modulus of take to the RHS, and for the stress substitute F by A, you will get one more expression for strain. Using these two expressions obtained for the strain, you can equate these two RHS terms. Okay, those two RHS terms are equated and differentiated with respect to x. The final expression what we got is A into del square S by del x square into del F by del x. Okay, this is the first step. Second step, utilizing the Newton's second law. Okay, Newton's second law, which gives which says that force is equal to mass into acceleration. Okay, force is equal to mass into acceleration. Here mass is mass corresponding to the elemental strip. Okay, mass of the elemental strip means mass of this portion. Okay, mass of this portion of the bar. Okay, how to find mass of this portion of the bar? First you find volume of this portion. What is the volume? Volume is nothing but cross sectional area multiplied by length. Cross sectional area, if you assume it as A, length of this elemental strip is dx. Okay, length of elemental strip is dx. Then by multiplying cross sectional area and the length, you will get the volume. This volume multiplied by density. Okay, volume multiplied by density will give the self weight of the elemental strip or mass of the elemental strip. So it is rho into A into dx, density multiplied by volume. Okay, so therefore we have the same expression here. Okay, rho A into dx, where A is the cross section, dx is the length. Cross section multiplied by length will give volume, volume multiplied by density will give mass. Okay, mass into acceleration. What is acceleration? It is a change of rate of change of velocity with respect to the time. Okay, rate of change of velocity with respect to the time. The velocity will be equal to del s by del t. Okay, rate of change of displacement with respect to the time will give velocity. Again, further differentiating del square s by del t square, you will get rate of change of velocity with respect to the time, that is written here. Del square s by del t square is equal to force. Okay, force is here force which is existing in the elemental strip. Okay, force which is existing in the elemental strip. Therefore this force is differentiated with respect to the length of the elemental strip multiplied by the force is differentiated with partially differentiated with respect to the x and multiplying corresponding length of the elemental strip, you will get force in the elemental strip. Therefore it is written as del f by del x into dx. Okay, this is the force in the elemental strip, this is mass of the elemental strip, this is corresponding acceleration. Okay, where rho is the mass density of the rod. Now we know the expression for del f by del x, that is A into del square s by del x square. Okay, we know the expression for this del f by del x, which is given by A into del square by s by del x square. Substituting this del f by del x value as this A into del square s by del x square, you will get this equation. Okay, now after simplifying on both LHS and RHS, this A into dx will get cancelled. The final expression what you will get is del square s after simplification. Del square s by del t square is equal to E by rho into del square s by del x square. Okay, therefore whatever this E by rho is there, no, Young's modulus, the ratio of Young's modulus to that of density, it is assumed to a constant. Okay, assumed to be, of course it will be a constant value. Young's modulus of the material is a constant value, density of the material is also constant, so both this ratio is assumed to a constant, that is c square. Okay, therefore taking E by rho is equal to C square, taking E by rho is equal to C square, in place of E by rho I have substituted C square. Okay, I have substituted C square. Therefore C square taking to the other side, you will get del square by del square s by del x square is equal to 1 by C square into del square s by del t square. So call this as equation number 2. Okay. Now after obtaining this equation, I hope you all understood up to here. Okay. See, we have performed till now. We have performed major steps. Two major steps means first we have determined this condition. Okay, we have obtained the expression for the force with respect to the x. After that, utilizing Newton's second law, okay, substituting this value in this expression, we have obtained this condition. Okay, del square s by del x square is equal to 1 by c square into del square s by del t square. After this, the next step is getting individual expressions for this del square s by del x square and del square s by del t square. For that we have to utilize one more condition, that is s is equal to s of x into t. Okay, means this expression represents the s is equal to x into t. You need to take the condition, means the solution of s to be the product of x where s is the displacement. Okay, this displacement mainly depends on the length of the element and time with which the force is applied. Correct? The displacement of the elemental shape, okay, displacement of the elemental shape mainly depends on two parameters. What are those two parameters? One is length of the element, okay, or the distance of the element from the support x, and it also depends on time with which the force is applied. Okay, therefore as this s is depending upon this x and t, therefore the solution will be s will be equal to x into t. Okay, now what is done is using this expression, the partial differentiation of s with respect to x as well as partial differentiation of s with respect to t, double differentiation is done. Okay, if you do partial differentiation of s with respect to x, del square s by del x square will be equal to, so t becomes constant, variable becomes x, del square s by del x square. If you differentiate with respect to t, then t becomes a variable and x becomes a constant here, x into d square t by dt square. Okay, now you got expression for this del square s by del x square. In here you got expression for del square s by del t square. Here you need to substitute these two things in this equation number 2. Okay, and it is substituted, and simplification of the formula is done. Okay, after simplification, you got this expression. Okay, you got final expression as this one. And in this expression, the LHS is equal to RHS only if these two expressions are equal and constant. Okay, these two terms will be equal. Okay, when the values of these LHS and RHS equal to some constant value, then only we can say that both these expressions are equal. We will equate these two terms to one more constant, that is minus omega square. Okay, now considering this term equal to minus omega square and the second term equal to minus omega square, again simplification is done, final simplification is done as equation 3 and equation 4. After doing this, finally the solution of above expressions is written. This you need to remember, students. This solution you need to remember. Okay, this expression and the below expression you need to remember. After obtaining these expressions, no, equation 3 and 4, directly write the solution. Okay, So this is about the longitudinal vibration of the bar. Okay, we have to remember the three major steps here. First is applying finding the strain. Okay, finding the strain by basic principle, that is change in length by original length. Okay, then finding the expression for the same strain by using Hooke's law, that is stress by strain. Equating both the things, you will get so this one, and differentiating, you will get some expression for del F by del X. This is the first step. Second step is utilizing the Newton's law. Okay, mass into acceleration is equal to force. Okay, formulating the equations for mass and the acceleration and the force. You will get del F by del X in this expression. Substitute the value of del F by del X here in this equation. Okay, do the simplification, you will get some constants. Okay, E by rho. Okay, as E is also constant, modulus of velocity, rho is also constant, that is density. Both these ratios is equated to a constant, that is c square. Okay, after taking it as c square, after simplification, you will get one more expression. This is the second step. This is the second step. Third step is taking this condition, s is equal to x into 2, x into t, making double integration. Okay, substituting these values again this equation number 2. Okay, and after that you need to do some simplifications. Okay, then again these two terms have to be equated to some constant, that is omega minus omega square. You will get equation 3 and 4. Finally, remembering this solution, if you write, this derivation will get completed. Okay. So, and coming to the second derivation, frequency and normal modes of transverse vibration of a simply supported beam L. It is a very simple derivation. The thing is, you need to remember this formula. If you are able to remember this formula, rest of the thing is mathematics, full mathematics. It's of integration and the differentiation. That's it. Okay, frequency and normal modes of transverse vibration of a simply supported beam of length L. Okay, see students. Uh, if you are able to remember, okay, you write these steps. If you are able to remember, if you are not able to, if you are feeling struggle to remember, you can skip these steps. You can skip these steps directly. You can start from here. You can start from here. Okay. Now, the solution of transverse vibration of a simply supported beam L is given by, okay, it is given by this expression. Okay, it is x is equal to a1 cos hyperbolic alpha x plus a2 into sin hyperbolic alpha x plus a3 cos alpha x plus a4 sin alpha x. You need to remember this equation. Okay, and even if you do not remember this these expression, no problem. Okay, then what you do after this step, directly differentiate with respect to x. Okay, differentiate with respect to x, you will get these two expressions, equation 2 and 3 you will get. And remember, differentiation of hyperbolic parameters is different. Okay, differentiation of cos h alpha x is only sin h alpha x, not minus. Okay, if you, differentiation of cos x is minus sin x, but differentiation of cos hx is only sin hx. Okay, similarly, differentiation of sin hyperbolic alpha x is cos hyperbolic alpha x minus cos alpha x is there. For this, if you differentiate, you will get minus 1. It is not the hyperbolic function. Minus a3 sin alpha x. Then differentiation of a4 sin alpha x is given by a4 cos alpha x. Okay. See, in these in all these terms, alpha is the common thing. Okay, therefore that alpha is taken outside. Okay, when you differentiate cos h alpha x with respect to the x, you will get sin h alpha x. Again, differentiation of alpha x is alpha. Like this, in all the terms, alpha will come. That alpha is taken outside the bracket. Okay, and it is called as equation number 2. Similarly, one more differentiation, double differentiation is done with respect to the x. This is called as equation number 3. Okay, this is called as equation number 3. So this is the first step, students. What is first step? Remember this equation. Okay, remember this equation. Differentiate with respect to x. Again, differentiate with respect to x, double differentiation you need to do. Okay. Okay. Now, after this is the first step. The only thing is you need to remember this equation. Okay. After writing this equation, you do double differentiation. Call those equations as equation number 2 and 3. Next is utilizing boundary conditions. Okay. Utilizing boundary conditions. Okay. Those boundary conditions are again here I have taken around 3 to 4 boundary conditions. ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಸರ್? Okay. You need to take 3 to 4 boundary conditions. Okay, 3 to 4 boundary conditions. You can see in the first condition, when x equal to 0, deflection x equal to 0. Then when x equal to 0, bending moment is equal to 0. X equal to L, bending moment is also equal to 0. And when x equal to L, deflection x equal to 0. Are you able to understand this all these conditions? If you take simply supported beam, okay, if you take simply supported beam, for simply supported beam at x equal to 0, means when length equal to 0, here the deflection is also equal to 0 and bending moment is also equal to 0 because it is simply supported beam. Okay, when x equal to 0, bending moment is also equal to 0 and deflection will be equal to 0 only. Okay, similarly when x equal to L, when the length of the beam equal to L, at this point also there won't be any bending moment, it is equal to 0, and there won't be any deflection is also equal to 0. All these 4 conditions are taken, and utilizing these 4 conditions, so the expression for the transverse vibration of the simply supported beam is obtained. Okay, let us see one by one. Okay, what is the first condition? There are 4 conditions we got now with respect to the simply supported beam. At x equal to 0, deflection equal to 0 and bending moment equal to 0. Okay, so at x equal to 0, deflection equal to 0 is one first condition. At x equal to 0, bending moment equal to 0 is the second condition. Okay, first condition is at x equal to 0, deflection x equal to 0. Okay, so substituting x equal to 0 in the equation 1. Okay, in the equation 1, the final expression what we got is 0 is equal to, see, this is the whatever the equation given, no solution, this is the solution for displacement. Okay, displacement, when you differentiate with respect to x, when you double differentiate with respect to x, then you will get bending moment. That is the expression for bending moment. This is nothing but bending moment, this is nothing but displacement. Okay, now at x equal to 0, displacement or the deflection equal to 0. Okay, therefore capital X equal to 0 written. Okay, when you substitute small x equal to 0 in these expressions, cos hyperbolic x cos 0 you will get a1 cos 0 a1, this sin 0 becomes 0, this sin 0 becomes 0, so a1 plus a3 equal to 0 you will get. Okay, you will get a1 plus a3 equal to 0. So coming to the second condition, at x equal to 0, bending moment d square x by dx square equal to 0. Okay. Now this d square x by dx square, here it is taken as 0 equal to, if you substitute x equal to 0 in all these terms, what you will get? You will get again a1 cos 0, a1 plus sorry, a1 minus a3 you will get. Okay, this term becomes 0 and this term becomes 0. Just a minute, students. I will come back in 1 or 2 minutes. I got some call. Okay, we'll continue. Now, by taking at x equal to 0, deflection x equal to 0, we will get this expression 0 equal to a1 plus a3. And by taking the second condition, at x equal to 0, bending moment d square x by dx square equal to 0, you will get one more expression, equation 4 and 5 you will get. Okay, so you can see equation 4 and equation 5. If you solve these two equations, these are the linear equations with the two unknowns a1 and a3. If you solve both the equations, finally what you get is a1 equal to 0 and a3 equal to 0. You will get it. Okay, if you solve in your calculator and all. Okay, you get a1 equal to 0 and a3 equal to 0. Okay, now coming to the third condition, at x equal to L, at x equal to 0, L, deflection equal to 0 and bending moment equal to 0. If you take these two conditions, you will get two more expressions. Okay, so in the third step, x equal to L, the bending moment d square x by dx square is equal to 0 is taken. Substituting this condition, that is x equal to L and d square x by dx square equal to 0 in this equation 3. What you will get? This you will get this expression, but from previous steps we came to know that a1 equal to 0 and a3 equal to 0, a1 and a3 equal to 0. So these two terms becomes equal to 0. The remaining term is only a2 sin h alpha l minus a4 sin h alpha l. Okay, equal to 0. That you call as equation number 6. Coming to the last condition, at x equal to L, deflection x equal to 0. This is the last condition. In the equation 1, you have to substitute this term equal to 0 equal to x equal to 0. If you do that, the expression what you get is a2 sin h alpha l plus a4 sin h alpha l equal to 0 you will get. Okay. Now, equation 6 and equation 7 are added. If you add both the equations, okay, in both the equations there is plus a4 sin alpha l and minus a4 sin alpha l, both gets cancelled. The final expression what you get is 2a2 sin h alpha l equal to 0, therefore a2 equal to 0. A sin h alpha l, 2 sin h alpha l, if you take to the RHS, then a2 also becomes equal to 0. Okay. Now we got a2, a1, a2 and a3 equal to 0. Okay. If you substitute a2 equal to 0 in this expression 7, you will get, finally what you get, a4 sin alpha l equal to 0. a4 sin alpha l equal to 0. Okay. Finally, as all the constants a1, a2 and a3 are 0, then this a4 cannot be equal to 0 because it's a vibration of a simply supported beam. Therefore, as all the constants are equal to 0, this remaining constant a4 cannot be equal to 0. It cannot be equal to 0. Amplitude of the vibration, it has got some amplitude, right? Okay, amplitude, only one amplitude is remaining. That amplitude cannot be equal to 0, but this sin alpha l can become equal to 0. Okay, sin alpha l can become equal to 0. Therefore, that condition is taken, sin alpha l equal to 0. Therefore, alpha l value if you substitute, the sin 180 is equal to 0, the sin 360 like that. Okay, sin pi, 2 pi, 3 pi up to n pi. Okay, where n is 1, 2, 3 and so on. Okay, therefore that condition is taken, alpha l is equal to n pi, alpha l equal to n pi, n into pi, and that alpha, okay, the formula for alpha is given by the natural frequency divided by constant c. Therefore, alpha becomes root of omega c. This you need to remember this thing. Okay, and squaring on both sides, finally what you get is omega is equal to natural frequency of the simply supported beam. Okay, natural frequency of the simply supported beam is equal to n square pi square c divided by n square, where c equal to system. Okay, ei by rho a is constant value. Okay, as used here in the previous expression, c equal to what we have used? C equal to E by rho, root of E by rho implies no, with respect to simply supported beam, that value of constant C equal to this expression EI by rho into A. Okay. Now squaring on both sides, omega expression you will get it. Okay. Omega expression you will get it. Therefore, the natural frequencies is equal to n square pi square C divided by L square. Okay. Now after obtaining this final equation, you need to write the mode shape, okay. Means we need to you need to substitute n is equal to first mode, second mode, third mode, fourth mode, like that you need to find. For the first mode there is only one deflection, second mode deflection shape, third mode, fourth mode you need to show the deflection shapes, and you need to substitute n is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4 in this expression. Whatever the value the expressions you got now, you need to write it. Okay, by doing this derivation get completed. Okay, here this derivation is very simple. The thing is, you need to remember this equation, you need to remember all the 4 conditions. Okay, rest of the thing is, it is mathematics only. Okay, it is mathematics only. Okay, understood students? Any doubts in these two derivations? Do you need any clarification? Do you need any clarification before I move on to the ASA subject?
Awesome.
Okay. Okay, I left with one more hour. I'll discuss ASA. Just a minute. I'll open the document. Screen is visible?
Visible.
Okay. I'll discuss model 3 and the 4. See, model 3 is shear center. And shear center, this part, the beginning part, no, for symmetric sections, where whether the section is symmetric about x-axis and the y-axis. The procedure is very simple. You can understand by yourself, no problem. Okay. What I'll do is I'll skip these symmetric section problems. I will go to the unsymmetric sections here. All of you having these notes, no? All of you having these notes? All of you are having, right? You want me to share?
We have.
You have the notes, right? Okay. If anyone not having, you can text me. I will send you the notes. No problem with that. See, with respect to the symmetric sections, it is discussed in this part. Okay, the shear center. I think this is discussed in steel structures as well. Okay, shear center. Okay, Priyanka madam also discussed, it seems. I am not going to discuss once again, and it is easily understandable. Okay, you can understand, you can solve by yourself, no problem. Okay, therefore I will directly go to unsymmetric sections. Unsymmetric sections. Okay, because here the lot of calculation is involved. In that first problem is with respect to the unsymmetric section, there is more chance of asking unsymmetric section only. Okay, in the examination, find the shear center of the unsymmetrical channel section. It is a channel section and it is a unsymmetrical section. Okay, means this it is not symmetric about both the x-axis and the y-axis. It is not symmetric about both the x-axis and the y-axis. Okay, so in that case, how to find the shear center? Okay, see, if the section is symmetric about either x-axis or the y-axis, okay, the shear center will be lying either in the, if the section is symmetric about x-axis, then shear center will be lying anywhere, okay, anywhere along the x-axis. If the symmetric about x-axis, okay, like this, anywhere it may lie, but it will lie along the x-axis. If the figure is symmetric about y-axis, shear center will lie anywhere along the y-axis. Okay. If the figure is symmetric about both axes, definitely at the centroid, shear center will lie. But if the figure is not symmetric about both x and y axis, it will lie somewhere else. Okay, somewhere else corresponding to one more reference axis, that is axis u and axis v. Okay, that is axis u and the axis v. Okay, so that is the principle here. So to find or to locate shear center for this unsymmetric channel section, first you find centroid, both x bar and y bar you find. Okay, you all know how to find x bar and y bar. Okay, what is the formula for x bar? Sigma ax by sigma a. Okay, this whole figure, no, it is divided into three rectangles. This is rectangle 1, rectangle 2 and rectangle 3. Okay, individual areas are calculated. Area of rectangle 1 is how much? 12.7 divided by divide into 1.524, and x bar x1, a1 x1 plus a2 x2 plus a3 x3 divided by a1 plus a2 plus a3 is the formula. Okay, x1 is distance of centroid of rectangle from reference y axis. Okay, means it will be x1, that is it will be 12.7 divided by 2. Okay, that 12.7 by 2 it is written, and a2 x bar, a2 x2, a2 is width into height. This width is how much? Width of rectangle 2 means thickness of rectangle 2, it is given as 1.524, and the clear depth you can calculate. Overall depth is known. Overall depth is 25.5 mm, 25.4 minus 1.524 on either side. If you do, you will get 22.352 as the clear depth of the web of the channel section. So area will be 1.524 is the thickness multiplied by okay. Now uh, I was discussing on finding x2 bar, right? A2 and x2 bar. You will get the clear depth of the web portion of the channel section. Clear depth multiplied by corresponding thickness will give the A2. Okay, and x2 bar will be distance of center of rectangle 2 from y axis. It is just thickness divided by 2. Okay, that is 1.524 divided by 2. And A3 is the area of rectangle 3, that is 25.4 into 1.524, and distance of centered of rectangle 3 from this y axis. This is x3. Okay, it will be 25.4 divided by 2. That is written divided by a1 plus a2 a3. If you do x bar, you will get x bar. Similarly, y bar is determined, where y bar is equal to sigma ay divided by sigma a, which is given by a1 y1 plus a2 y2 plus a3 y3 divided by a1 plus a2 plus a3. Okay, a1 a2 a3 you will get from this expression only, from this calculation only, directly, right? But you need to substitute y1 y2 and y3 values. Okay, what is y1 y2 y3? Distance of center of rectangle 1 2 3 from the base. Okay, y1 means y1 is distance of center of rectangle 1 from base. Similarly, y2 is distance of rectangle centered of rectangle 2 from base. Centered of distance of centered of rectangle 3 from base will give y1 y2 y3, that you can calculate. Okay, finally you will get y bar value, that is 10.2 mm. Now you have located the centroid x bar and the y bar. After that you need to find the moment of inertia. Okay, here you be careful while calculating the moment of inertia. You may get some confusion in finding these y bar values. Okay, you may get some confusion in finding the y bar values. Now moment of inertia ixx and iyy you need to find. I will explain about ixx. Iyy is in the same way you can find it. Moment of inertia about x-axis is equal to igg plus a into y bar square, where igg is the moment of inertia about their own centroidal axis of each components, each rectangles. Okay, igg for example, for rectangle 1 bdq by 12. Okay, for rectangle bdq by 12 is the formula for moment of inertia about their centroidal axis. Okay, for rectangle 1, what is the width? Width is 25.4 and depth is 1.524. Therefore, it is 25.4 into 1.524 cube divided by 12 into area, corresponding area it is known. From here you can copy here, into y bar. What is y bar for rectangle 1? Means y1 bar. Y1 bar is the distance between centroid of the whole figure to that of centroid of the rectangle 1. Here I have written that calculation here. Is it visible? 25.4 minus 10.2 minus 1.524 divided by 2. Okay. Y bar how much we got? 10.2 we got. Okay, means distance of see from here to here we got it as 10.2 mm. Okay, 10.2 mm we got the distance. See, in this formula y1 bar means distance between centroid of rectangle 1 to that of centroid of whole figure. Okay, centroid of whole figure, that is given by overall depth minus, okay, 25.4 minus this 10.2. if you do, you will get this distance. Okay, 25.4 minus 10.2, if you do, you will get this distance. In overall this distance, if you deduct 1.524 divided by 2, you will get distance between centroid of rectangle 1 to that of centroid of the whole figure. This distance you will get it, that is y1. Similarly, you need to calculate y2 and y3. Understood? Here y1 is the distance between centroid of rectangle 1 to that of centroid of the whole figure. Okay, for that what I have done is overall depth minus 10.2 mtech, sir. Okay, now this is the calculation with respect to the rectangle 1. Similarly, we need to calculate for rectangle 2 and rectangle 3. Okay, you just go through the things. Okay, for rectangle 2 and rectangle 3, similarly we need to calculate. Okay, now by doing the calculation, you will get moment of inertia as 9125 mm cube. Okay, so by doing the similar calculation, you will get the moment of inertia about xx. Okay, now similarly you need to find Iyy, moment of inertia about y axis. Okay, where the formula will be Igg plus a into x bar square. Okay, this bdq by 12, no, it becomes dbq by 12 here. For Igg, it becomes dbq by 12. Instead of being 25.4 into 1.524 cube, it becomes reverse 12. And area, it remains the same always. Okay, and x bar you can calculate, where x bar is the distance between centroid of the individual rectangles to the centroid of the whole figure. Here centroid of the whole figure is known 6.95 mm. Okay, 6.95 mm. Okay, for example, for this rectangle 2, if you want to calculate x bar, okay, see from here to here, distance of centroid of whole figure is 6.95. 6.95 minus this thickness divided by 2, if you do, you will get distance between centroid of the rectangle 2 and centroid of the whole figure. Like that, the calculation will be done. Okay, you can see. Yes, for rectangle 2 I have done no 6.95 minus 1.524 divided by 2 whole square. Similarly, for rectangle 3, if you want to do the calculation, see, distance of center of rectangle 3 from y axis is 25.4 divided by 2, around 12.7 you will get. 12.7 minus 6.95 if you do, you will get distance between the centroids. Like that you need to calculate moment of inertia about y axis. Moment of inertia about y axis. After knowing Ixx and Iyy, then Ixy you need to calculate, that is moment of inertia about the principal axis Ixy using this formula A1 x1 y1 plus A2 x2 y2 plus A3 x3 y3. This x1 y1, okay, x1 x2 x3, here you will get it in this calculation, okay. X bar 1, x bar 2, x bar 3, here these calculations are there, no? These things. X1, the same things I have copied here. Same calculations I have copied here. Okay, x1, x2, x3 and y1, y2, y3. y1, y2, y3 you will get from this expression. See, this is the y1, this is the y2 and this is the y3. Same expressions I have copied here. Okay, finally I got moment of inertia about the principal axis. Then using the formula tan 2 theta is equal to minus of 2 ixy by ixs minus isy, you will get the theta value. Okay, where this theta is the inclination of the principal axis with respect to the x axis, means inclination of the new axis u and v. Okay, the theta is here, no? Here theta is equal to 26.58 degree. Okay, which whatever the theta we have found out, that is the angle with respect to the original x-axis, angle of u-axis with respect to the x-axis, that you need to mention in the figure by writing axis u and v. That inclination you need to mention as 26.58 degree. Okay. So the first step is to find the centroidal distances x bar and y bar. Then you need to find Ixx, moment of inertia about the x-axis, moment of inertia about the y-axis, then moment of inertia about the principal axis. You need to find Ixy. After that, you need to find principal moment of inertia, that is about Iuu and Ivv. We have the direct formula. You need to remember. Just by substituting moment of inertia about the new axis, you will get about u axis and v axis, you will get. Okay. Now the position of the shear center O is determined by considering the shear force to be applied perpendicular to these directions u and v. See, as the figure is unsymmetric figure given, what we have done is the shear center will be lying with respect to some other new axis, that is axis u and axis v. Therefore, the shear force to be determined by applying perpendicular to the direction of u and v respectively. Here what I have done is, first I have determined the EU. Okay, I determined EU means here somewhere here I have considered assumed the shear center. Okay, shear center. If you want to locate the shear center, you need to locate with respect to axis V and axis U. Okay, axis V and axis U. Okay, I have extended this force here and assumed EU as the distance of location of the shear center from this corner. Okay, from this corner. Now my aim is to locate shear center with respect to this corner by taking this as reference. Okay, you can take any point as reference. This point also you can take, but for convenience you take this point as reference. We will find this EU now. Okay, to find that EU, initially you need moment of inertia about axis u and axis v, that we have already determined. that we already determined. Now you need the distance fh. We need the distance fh to find this EU. Okay, to find this EU means the location of the shear center. Consider, assume that V1, okay, V1, V2 and V3 are the shear forces acting on each flanges. Okay, to find or to locate the shear center, what we will assume is, we will assume V1 and V2 and V3 are the shear forces acting on each and every flanges. Okay, now if you take moment about this point, if you take moment of all these shear forces, sum of moment of all these shear forces V1, V2 and V3 about this point, moment of V3 about this point becomes 0 because point lies in the line of action of force, and moment of this V2 about this point becomes 0 because point lies in the line of action of force. Only you get moment of shear force V1 about this point. Okay, only you get moment of V1 about this point. Okay, so V1 into perpendicular distance. Perpendicular distance means from center of this flange to center of this flange. Okay, so V1 into this perpendicular distance you can calculate. If you do, you will get the moment. But we don't know the value of V1. Okay, but we don't know the value of V1. That V1 is calculated by using the first principle, that is using tau into dA. Shear force V1 is the shear force acting in the flange 1. Shear force is nothing but multiplication of shear stress in the area, okay, cross sectional area, okay. Shear stress multiplied by area will give V1. Again we need this shear stress. This shear stress is determined by using this formula, basic formula. Tau is equal to V by IT into AY bar. Okay, tau is equal to V by IT into AY bar, where Y bar is the distance of centroid of this elementary strip from reference U axis. Okay, so this FH is the Y bar. Okay, see students, here we are determining shear center. Shear center should be, while calculating shear center or the shear force, it should be calculated with respect to the axis U axis, with respect to the U axis only. To find that V1 force, okay, we are using this basic principle, that is integration of tau into dA, where tau is equal to V by IT into AY bar, where Y bar is the, to find Y bar is the distance of centroid of this elemental strip from reference U axis. Okay, here I considered an elemental area dz at a distance z from the end of the beam. Okay, so here in this expression, Y bar is there, no? That Y bar is nothing but distance of centroid of this elemental strip from U axis, that is FH. Okay, now we need to find this FH distance. Okay, to find this FH distance, okay, to find this FH distance, what I have done is I have drawn a vertical. Okay, this one, I have drawn a vertical from center of the component 1 to the x axis. Okay, and I have drawn a perpendicular to this u axis, this one. I have drawn a perpendicular to u axis. I have drawn a vertical from the same point. Okay, to calculate this FH. Okay, to calculate this FH. Okay, from here to here. I have done all these modifications, and I have also drawn a perpendicular from point A to the line FH. That point I have called it as E. Okay, that point I have called it as E. Now by drawing a vertical and by drawing a perpendicular to the U axis and by drawing a vertical to the X axis and also by drawing perpendicular to this FH, you will get this shape. Okay, you will get these you will get few right angle triangles. In that, one of the right angle triangle is angle BGD or GBD. Okay, using this angle GBD or BDG. Okay, here is the calculation. So angle GBD is utilized. There the tan function is applied. Okay, this angle is known. So this is the right angle triangle. Angle, the right angle triangle GBD is considered. Okay, this angle is known, that is 26.560. If you apply tan theta, tan 26.58 is equal to opposite by adjacent. Opposite is BD. You keep as it is. This adjacent side you need to determine. How to determine? How to determine this distance GD? See, you know x bar value means 6.95. Okay, from here to here distance is known 6.95. Okay, you know here to edge of the flange 1. Okay, 12.7 minus this 6.95, if you do, you will get this GD distance. Okay, substituting this GD distance, you will get the BD. Okay, the same calculation is performed here in the below. You can refer. Yes, the same calculation is performed. 14 point BD divided by 5.75. 5.75, I have explained how it has come. 5.75 is the total. 12.7 minus 6.95, if you do, you will get 5.75. Okay, 5.75. So by doing this, you will get the height BD. Okay, you will get the height BD. Okay, now we can calculate this AB distance. Okay, from here to here you can calculate AB. Okay, from here to here you can calculate. How to calculate AB distance? This BD is known. Okay, BD is known. So from A to D you can calculate. A to D, how much it is? How much it is? See, 25.35, 25.4 is the total distance. So 25.4 minus 10.2. Okay, minus 10.2 means from here to here. If you do, you will get from here to here distance minus this half of this rectangle. 1.524 divided by 2, if you do, you will get 14.438 mm as this AB distance, sorry, AD distance. Okay, AD, that BD, just now we have calculated AD minus that BD, if you do, you will get distance AB. Okay, by doing that, you will get distance between A and B. Understanding? Distance between A, okay, distance between A and D you can calculate. How to calculate? Overall depth 25.4 minus this y bar distance 10.2, if you do distance from here to here. Okay, in this distance, if you deduct half of the rectangle, that is 1.524, you will get distance between A and D. Okay, distance between A and D minus distance BD. Just now we have calculated. If you do, you will get distance AB. Okay, distance AB. Okay, now if you get distance AB, okay, you can calculate the AC. You can calculate the distance AC again by taking this right angle triangle. Right angle triangle ABC. By taking this right angle triangle again, you can calculate the length AC. Okay, you know the length AB, you know this angle. Okay, what is this angle? This with respect to horizontal it is 26.58. Okay, so 90 minus 26.58, if you do, you will get 63.42 as angle. Okay, if you apply sine function in this angle ABC, sine 63.42, sine 63.42 is equal to opposite by hypotenuse AC is opposite, hypotenuse is AB. If you do AB length, just now we have calculated, I have told how to calculate AB. By this you will get AC length. Okay, this length you will get AC. Okay, this AC length is equal to EH length. Okay, correct? This AC and EH. Okay, AC and EH as parallel lines. So this AC equal to EH. Okay, therefore from E to H you will get the distance. But FH distance we know, we want that FH equal to, FH is equal to this EH plus FE. Okay, again we need the value of FE. That FE value is calculated by taking the right angle triangle FAE. This right angle triangle. By taking this right angle triangle FAE, this FE value is calculated. Okay. Here angle will be known. Okay. This angle will be known. This line is there, no, EA line. It is parallel to this line, which is angle 26.58. So here also you get same 26.58 degree. So in this AFAE right angle triangle. Okay. This length is known. Length between A and F is known. Z by 2. Okay. Total the elemental area up to Z length is taken. Z divided by 2. If you do, we will get this FA. Okay. This is Z by 2. Okay. This length is known. By applying again sine function, you will get the expression for this FE. That is calculated. Here I will show you. FE is equal to sine 26.58 degree is taken, correct? Sine 26.58 degree, which is nothing but opposite by hypotenuse. Opposite is nothing but AE, okay? AE divided by Z by 2. That AE is calculated already. Sorry, FE by Z by 2. If you take sine function, sine of 26.2, opposite is this one, FE. FE divided by Z by 2. Okay. So FE becomes equal to Z by 2 plus sine 26.58. Okay. FH equal to EH plus FE as I written here. EH plus FE. EH is already calculated. That is AC equal to EH. That we got the answer. That is that we got as 10.37 plus Z by 2 into sine 26.58. By doing this you will get FH. Okay. Where FH is Y bar. In this here Y bar is there, no? AY bar, that Y bar value is nothing but FH here. Okay. Then taking the expression tau into T into here to calculate the shear force. To calculate the shear force, I have used the basic principle V by IT into AY bar. V by IT into AY bar. AY bar is nothing but area of that elemental strip. Area of elemental strip is what? See here I have taken an elemental area for a length Z, okay, from the end. Z into T, if you do, you will get this area of elemental strip. Z into T is the area of elemental strip. And Y bar we have calculated 10.37 plus Z by 2 into sine 26.56. By doing this, you will get AY bar expression. AY bar expression. Okay. where dA is the area of the small elementary strip. Here small elementary strip is now dA into tz. Okay, dA is the dz into t or t into dz. T into dz is tau into dA. dA is nothing but area of the small elementary strip, thickness into dz, and tau is equal to V by IT into AY bar. Okay, AY bar, Y bar we have calculated. Okay, Y bar we have calculated. A is Z into T, Y bar is this expression. Okay, substituting all these values in this V1 formula, tau into T into dz, where tau is equal to V by IT. V by IT into AY bar into T into dz. Again V by IT, area is area into Y bar, it is written already we have here, ZT into 10.37 Z by 2 sin 26.56, that is substituted here in this expression. T into dz you keep as it is, and by doing the integration finally you will get the expression for V1 in terms of V, that is 0.143 V. Okay, now after getting the expression for V1 that is 0.143 V, now by taking the moment about D, by taking the moment about D, that is V1 into perpendicular distance into this shear center force V into EU, by equating both finally you will get the distance EU. You will get distance EU. Okay, so by doing this we located the shear center with respect to the axis V, means EU we have located. Okay, similarly if you want to find one more length in the other direction EV, again you need to consider the loads perpendicular to the V axis, and EV you need to determine. Okay, so again if you want to determine, again you need to perform the similar calculations. Okay, again it will be a lengthier process. In the examination they may ask you to find any one parameter EU or EV. Okay, so as this is online mode, whatever the best way it is possible from my side I have explained students. All of you go through once again with this calculation. Okay, all of you practice these things. See, if you do not get anything, okay, if you do not understand the thing, if you do not get anything to solve there, okay, in your mind, at least you do up to here. Okay, you whatever the procedure is there, you just follow. In between, while doing the calculation, you may get stuck with some values, right? Okay, if you get stuck with some values, don't stop there, you continue to solve. You finish all the steps. Okay, you finish all the steps. Okay, don't, if you get stuck anywhere during solving the problem, means don't stop there. Whatever the answers you got, no, for that answers only you continue and you finish all the steps. There will be marks for steps. Okay, there will be marks for steps. Okay, if you got the right answers, you will get full marks. If you are getting any other different answers, at least 70 to 80% of the marks will be given. But the thing is, you should complete the steps. Okay, even the evaluator will be knowing there will be mistakes that will usually happen here and there, because it involves very lengthier calculation. Okay, as you know, if you solve very slowly, neatly and correctly, it takes minimum 1 hour to 1 hour 15 minutes time. Therefore the evaluator will know the difficulty. So what he expects is you have to complete all the steps. Okay, students, you remember all these formulae, complete all the steps. Whatever the answers you are getting, don't worry, you complete the steps, you will get the marks, no problem. Is that clear for you all? Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now there are derivations. In these derivations you may get one derivation. Okay, shear center of semicircular ring and shear center of the circle, okay, or sorry, circular open section, okay, any one derivation it may come. Let me discuss these derivations, okay. First one is shear center of the semicircular ring, okay. See, if you take the semicircle, see, figure is symmetric about x-axis. The semicircle is symmetric about x-axis, means this x-axis dividing the figure into two equal parts on either side. Therefore, the shear center is lying anywhere along the x-axis, but it is not symmetric about y-axis. We will find where exactly it is lying. Okay, for that, what I have done is I have considered an elemental area, okay, an elemental area which is equal to with a angle theta with respect to y axis, okay, where area of this elemental area, okay, area of this elemental area is given by r theta into t. How this expression has come? What is length of the curve? Length of the curve is given by r into theta, correct? Length of the curve is given by r into theta. Radius multiplied by included angle will give r into theta. By doing this, we will get length. R theta will give length multiplied by corresponding thickness will give area of the shaded portion. Okay. So to find this, to locate this shear center, I have considered an elemental area of r theta into t. Let dA be the elemental strip after this elemental area, okay, with included angle, with internal angle d theta. With respect to this included angle, internal angle d theta, area of this small elemental strip becomes how much? Internal angle, radius is the r, d theta is the angle, so length becomes r into d theta into corresponding thickness. If you do, you will get dA. Okay. So same introductory part is written. Now we need to locate the shear center of the semicircular ring. To locate shear center of the semicircular ring, what we will do? We will assume V1. Okay, here it is written. V1 as the shear force which is acting in the ring. Okay, we will assume V1 is the shear force which is acting along the ring. Okay. Now to locate this shear center E corresponding to the center of the semicircle O, what we will do? We will take moment about O. Okay, we will take sigma MO equal to 0. If you take sum of moment about O equal to 0, it becomes V into E will be equal to V1 into R. Okay, moment of this shear force, resultant shear force about point O is V into eccentricity E, or distance of centroid of shear center. The distance of shear center from the O, V into E will be equal to shear force throughout the section into corresponding radius R. Okay. So by this you will get, you can locate the shear center, that is E equal to V1 into R by V. Okay, V1 into R by V. But we don't know the expression for this V1, correct? We don't know the expression for this V1. We will find it. Okay, how to find it? By using the basic principle. V1 is equal to tau into dA, shear stress multiplied by dA, area. Okay, area will give the shear force. Okay, where this shear stress tau is equal to V by IT into AY bar. Okay, V by IT into AY bar. Again, we need to find area, we need to find Y bar, and everything we need to find and substitute in this equation. You got my, you are understanding, right? The shear center is located by taking this condition, sigma m not equal to 0. If you take this condition, it becomes V into E equal to V1 into R. Shear force, moment of shear force that is acting about O is equal to moment of shear resistance, okay, about O, okay, V1 into R by V. Now we need the expression for this V1, okay, shear force. Shear force is nothing but V1, which is nothing but shear stress into cross-sectional area dA, and again for this shear stress, this is the formula V by IT into AY bar, okay, V by IT into AY bar. Now again we will find the expression for area and Y bar, okay, where A is already we have written here R theta into T, area of elemental area, and Y bar is R cos theta, okay, R cos theta. With respect to the, if you resolve this force along the y axis, this becomes R cos theta. Okay, if you resolve this force, this from here to here it is y bar. Distance of center of this thickness, center of this thickness to that of center of the circle, y bar. So if you resolve this, it becomes R cos theta, correct? R cos theta. That is taken as y bar. Okay. Now you got y bar expression. So substituting area value and y bar value in this equation, you will get the expression for shear stress. What is that? V by IT into R theta into T into R cos theta. Okay. Now we are interested to find V1, which is equal to tau into dA. Tau we got it. Okay. Tau we got it, and dA is area of elemental strip. Okay, dA is area of elemental strip, that we have written here. dA is equal to R dt into T. Substituting this tau value as this one, dA as R dt into T, you will get this final expression. Okay, and for semicircle the total angle is 180 degree, which is nothing but pi. Integration from 0 to pi. Integration from 0 to pi. Now by doing the integration, see from this expression all the constants are taken outside. V into R into R into R cube, V R cube into thickness T divided by I. All these constants are taken outside the integration. Only the variables are retaining inside the integration. Theta and cos theta. It is in the form of A into B, integration of A into B. Again you need to apply integration rule for multiplying this integration of A into B expression. So integration of A into B is what? First term into integration of second term with limits. Okay. Theta into integration of second term cos theta is sin theta 0 to pi, minus of integration with the same limits 0 to pi, integration of second term, the sin theta as it is you keep here, okay, into d theta, okay, into d theta as it is. Okay, again by applying the limits for this one you will get 0, minus of integration of sin theta is minus cos theta, limits from 0 to pi. Again applying the limits, finally working out the answer, you will get the expression for V1. Okay, V1, expression for V1 you will get, that is minus 2V R cube T divided by I, where I is the moment of inertia. That moment of inertia also we need to find now. To find that moment of inertia is nothing but area into y square. Okay, it is nothing but area into y square. So to find moment of inertia of the semicircle, so integration from 0 to pi for semicircle, the angle is 180 degrees. So limits is taken from 0 to pi, dA into y square. Okay, where dA is area of elemental strip, that is R d theta into T, that we have written here, R d theta into T into R cos theta, y bar also we know, R cos theta, substituted and integrated. y bar square, and constants taken the outside the integration, and cos square theta, it is rewritten as 1 plus cos 2 theta divided by 2. Okay, to make the calculation easier, again this 2 is taken outside, 1 plus cos 2 theta is remaining, integration of 1 is theta, integration of cos 2 theta is sin 2 theta divided by 2 with limit 0 to pi. Applying the limits, finally you got the expression for moment of inertia I. Okay, you substitute this value of moment of inertia in this expression, minus 2 v r cube by t divided by I, you substitute as pi r cube by t. After simplification, you got expression for v1 in terms of v, that is minus 4v divided by pi. Okay, as I said, taking moment about this point, you will get this expression v1 v into e is equal to v1 into r. Okay, but here one force is acting downward, one is acting upward, so opposite signs are used here. Okay, finally v1 by substituting as 4v by pi, finally you got, or you expression for shear center, means you have located the distance of shear center from center of the semicircle, means that E, the shear center of the semicircle, will lie at a distance of 4r by, what is that, 4r by pi, 4r by pi distance from center of the circle. Okay, I will repeat once again. We will find shear center location by taking this condition, sigma m not equal to 0, that is v into e equal to v1 into r. Okay, where v1, for v1 we will find the expression for v1 in terms of v. Okay, we will find the expression for in terms of v. How to find? By using basic principle. v1 is nothing but shear force. It is shear force is nothing but shear stress multiplied by area, shear stress multiplied by area. That shear stress is given by this formula, v by it into ay bar. Okay, and substituting area of elemental area and y bar. Okay, in this you will get the expression for tau. Okay, dA is now, dA is nothing but r d theta into t. Substituting everything in this equation and by doing the integration, finally you will get this expression. Again we have left with moment of inertia. For that moment of inertia, by basic principle we will find the expression dA into y bar square. Okay, dA is known, y bar is also known. Substitute and do the integration, you will get the expression for I. And after getting the expression for I, this I is substituted in this formula. Finally you will get expression for v1 in terms of v. Okay, and in this condition, if you substitute the value of v1, okay, you will look at the shear center. Okay, similarly the same procedure is followed for circular open section. Okay, what are the procedure? Sir, good morning, sir. ಸರ್ ಇವಾಗ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಸರ್, ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂಸ್ 3 hours ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಇತ್ತು ಸರ್. ಇವಾಗ 12 o'clock ಮುಗಿದು ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ ಸರ್. ಇವಾಗ ಬರ್ತೀನಿ ಸರ್ ಇವಾಗ. ಓಕೆ ಸರ್, ಸರಿ ಸರ್, ಓಕೆ ಸರ್, ಶೋರ್ ಸರ್. ಬರ್ತೀನಿ ಸರ್ ಇವಾಗ. ಓಕೆ ಸರ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಸರ್. Okay, whatever the procedure I have followed now for the semicircle, the same procedure is followed, only the limits are different. Okay, only the limits are 0 to 2 pi it is taken, and derivation is been performed. Okay, final expression is E is equal to 2 into radius. Okay, corresponding, and with respect to the model for students, don't skip this model. It is easy compared to the model 3. They are very simple problems. If you go through all the problems of model 4, definitely you will be able to understand. You go through it. In between, if you get any doubts, you contact me, call me, I will help you out in understanding the problems on model 4 students. Okay, see, as we have calculated this EU, similarly here also I have done some calculation.